Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know we love getting your source suggestions, and this one is, well, it's a little different.
Different good or different? Oh.
Different good, definitely. We're diving deep into a single drink today.
Oh, wow. Okay. Color me intrigued.
The drink is the Latte Macchiato, and our source is an episode of the Coffee Conversations podcast. I'm already fascinated.
It really does just go to show you there are these hidden depths, even with the most familiar things. Like, we see latte macchiatos everywhere, but how much do we really know about them?
Right, I feel like I'm about to become that person who's way too into their coffee order.
Hey, no judgment here. That's how we learn. Even the name itself is kind of a puzzle. Latte macchiato. It literally means stained milk in Italian.
Stained milk. Okay, now I need to know more. I
Oh,
mean, it doesn't exactly sound appetizing.
Oh, but it's all about the visual. So imagine, right, you have a glass of steamed milk.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Perfect. Now, gently, you pour a shot of espresso on top. But here's the thing. Instead of like mixing right away, it actually creates a separate layer, almost like, well, a stain within the milk.
Ah, so it's coffee art. That's why everyone's always taking pictures of them. I can see the appeal now.
Exactly. It's more than just a drink, it's like a little masterpiece in your cup. But this whole visual thing, I bet that wasn't a factor back when it was first invented.
Yeah, good point. Coffee wasn't always so Instagrammable.
Exactly. The latte macchiato didn't really hit it big in the US until the 90s. It was the rise of all those fancy coffee shops. Presentation started mattering as much as taste.
Oh, for sure. It was the beginning of the coffee is an experience thing. So how is a latte macchiato different from a cafe latte? I mean, they both have espresso and milk, right?
Right, they do. But it's all about the ratios and the technique. With a latte macchiato, the milk is the real star of the show.
Okay, so you use more milk.
Exactly. You start with a good amount of steamed milk, and then the espresso is poured in last. That's what creates that stained effect.
Gotcha. So it's not just the order of ingredients, it's the proportions too. Okay, I'm officially hooked. I need to try making one. What do I need besides espresso?
Well, the key is good steamed milk. You can use one of those little frothers if you have one, or even just heat and whisk it on the stovetop to get some microfoam going. Aim for between 140 degrees airfor and 155 degrees airfor.
Okay, wait, why that specific temperature range? What's so special about it?
It's all about texture. That temperature range is like the sweet spot for creating microfoam that's light and airy, but can still hold that espresso layer without immediately mixing in. It's about visual separation and that perfect velvety texture.
Ah, so temperature is crucial for both the look and the feel. Makes sense.
Ah.
Now, what about the coffee itself? Does it matter what kind of beans you use?
Oh, absolutely. The podcast we're looking at, they recommend a lighter roast, a blonde roast.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it has this natural sweetness that complements the milk really well without getting lost.
Hmm. I usually go for a darker roast, but I could see how the subtleness of a blonde roast would let the milk layers really shine through. Maybe I'll have to step out of my comfort zone a little.
Hey, that's what this is all about, right? Trying new things. And that's what's so great about making coffee at home. You have total control. You're the barista.
You know, it's cool to think about the technique and everything, but I remember something in the podcast about the latte macchiato being, more than just a drink, right? Like an experience.
Oh, for sure. And a big part of that experience, at least these days, is like the social side of things. The podcast host, she really emphasizes that whole like sharing your coffee journey with others, whether that's snapping a pic of your latte art or like geeking out over different brewing methods.
Yeah, totally. It's like
Yeah.
anyone can just drink coffee, but when you really get into the nuances of it, it's only natural to want to find people who get it.
Exactly. And luckily for us, it's easier than ever these days to find those people online. There are tons of online communities dedicated to coffee, people swapping tips and recipes, even having like friendly debates about stuff.
Ooh, like what?
Like the big questions, is it ever acceptable to put milk in a pour over? That kind of thing.
Oh, you're going to start a war with that one. Now, I'm a purist when it comes to pour over, but hey,
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their own coffee preferences. But I do love that this podcast is all about encouraging that sense of community. I think it even has its own website and social media, right?
It does, which just goes to show you, right? Coffee really can bring people together. It's not just about the drink itself. It's about that whole like shared ritual, the craft, the
Mhm.
simple pleasure of a good cup.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
I'm all about savoring those little moments, whether it's my, solo morning coffee or catching up with friends over a fancy latte. There's something almost like meditative about it.
Totally. And even something as seemingly simple as a latte macchiato can open up this whole world of like exploration. You start thinking about the history of coffee, all the different ways people drink it around the world, even the science behind brewing the perfect cup.
So true. It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, or in this case, a single sip. But before we get too philosophical here, let's bring it back to our listeners for a sec. What would you say is like the biggest takeaway from this deep dive?
That's a good question. I think it's that you don't need to be intimidated by, fancy coffee drinks. You don't
Uh-huh.
need some crazy expensive equipment or like years of barista training to make something delicious and beautiful at home.
It's all about empowering yourself,
Yeah.
like exploring and finding what you like. And hey, if you do discover some amazing new coffee concoction, or you finally perfect your latte macchiato skills, we want to see it.
Yes. Head over to www.forcanfry.com and share your coffee adventures with us.
We love to see what you're all creating and connecting with you all, fellow food and drink enthusiasts.
Hmm.
So share your latte art, your favorite coffee beans, whatever's brewing in your coffee world.
Okay, now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a little something to think about.
Okay, hit me with it.
So, we spent all this time talking about the latte macchiato, a drink with a relatively, recent history and this cool layering technique.
Hmm.
But what other everyday foods or drinks might have hidden depths? Or like unexpected origins? Or maybe there are surprising techniques behind them that we don't even realize.
Ooh, that's a good one. It really makes you think about all those things we take for granted. Like that salad dressing you use every day, maybe it has this whole backstory you've never heard. Or your go-to breakfast smoothie. Where did all those ingredients come from?
Exactly. There's a whole world of food and drink out there just waiting to be explored. So next time you're enjoying your favorite meal or snack, take a second to think about its journey, the people and processes that brought it to your table.
Yeah, it's like adding a whole new layer of flavor to the experience, right?
Totally. And who knows, it might just inspire your next deep dive.
It's kind of wild how much we've talked about just one drink, the latte macchiato.
I know, right?
Like we've gone from the history to the actual making of it and then that whole social media thing.
Yeah.
It's like peeling back layers of an onion. There's always more to find out.
And that's what's so cool about these deep dives. We start with something specific, but who knows where we'll end up. It's all about these unexpected connections.
Yeah, it's like we're on a treasure hunt, but the treasure is knowledge. And speaking of knowledge, I've been thinking, we talked about how the latte macchiato was kind of new on the scene, but coffee itself has been around forever, right?
Oh, yeah, for centuries.
So how did it go from just a bean to like this global thing? Everyone drinks coffee.
It is a pretty huge deal, isn't it? And it's a long story going all the way back to, Ethiopia where it originated.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and from there it just spread everywhere. I mean, it's influenced cultures, it's been a huge part of economies, even sparked revolutions.
Oh, revolutions.
Seriously. Coffee's a powerful bean. But it's also pretty amazing to think how many people rely on it, not just to wake up in the morning, but like their whole livelihood depends on coffee.
It's so much more than just a drink, that's for sure.
Exactly. It's a global commodity. And the latte macchiato, even though it's relatively new, it just shows you how coffee is always evolving, always inspiring something new.
It really makes you appreciate that there's always more to learn, even about something as basic as coffee.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I really want you to hold on to that curiosity. It doesn't matter if it's coffee or food or anything else. Just don't be afraid to, dig a little deeper. Ask those questions.
Because you never know what you'll find. Like maybe your favorite snack has a secret history. Or the way you cook something every day. Well, there's a whole different technique out there.
Exactly. There's a whole world waiting to be discovered, and a lot of it is right there in your kitchen. So next time you're having a meal, think about it. Where did all this come from? Who made this? How did it get to my plate?
It's like adding a whole new flavor to the experience.
You got it. And who knows, maybe it'll spark your next deep dive. And speaking of deep dives, we love hearing from you. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep having those coffee conversations.
And if you want to share what you find, head over to www.forcanfry.com.
We love to see what you're all making and connecting with you, our fellow food and drink enthusiasts. So share your latte art, your favorite coffee beans, whatever's brewing in your world.
Happy sipping, everyone.